we are sitting with Mr. and Ms. Wood, Mr. George Wood and Louise Wood in Pleasant Hill. You were a veterinarian in Selma?
I practiced in Selma for 43 years, is that right? A long time.
Yeah.
I was practiced there until 19, and we retired and moved out here in 2020, 21. I don't. We've been out here 2 full years, and we spent a year working on the house before we moved. So,
Wow.
so I guess it has been probably 21. I think is when we moved out here.
And down here in Pleasant Hill. Now, tell us how you came about to have this really cool store that you've got.
Well, my wife's a pack rat. She accumulates things. Her favorite sporting event is to go to a thrift store, and she never doesn't come home with something, so that's a problem. And we were running out of room to put everything. We got to looking at some of the existing properties here in town, and we were looking at a much smaller place, and right across the road was this place, and I said, well, why didn't I think about that? So we decided we would investigate how, this particular building that we're in right now, as far as putting storage and whatever else we wanted to do in it. So we came down to try to get the number. It had been empty so long you couldn't read a phone number.
Oh, no.
So I ended up going on the property reports for Dallas County to find out who was paying the taxes on it.
Yeah.
And then I went, believe it or not, I went on Facebook and found her on Facebook.
In another state.
And sent her a Instagram or whatever they call those things. It said, I'm not an outlaw, I'm not a crook, but I'm possibly interested in the building that you own, and told her where it was and told her our connection, that her father had owned this store at one point, and her brother ran the store years ago. So we got
What was it back then? What kind of store was it?
It was a grocery store.
Oh, wow.
It was a country grocery store.
I'll be darned.
It was, with everything from toilet paper to a butcher shop to cheese in the back. So a little bit of everything.
When I was growing up, this was the place to be.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of traffic happens here between Greenville and Selma. And so this had gas, and it had 2 for a penny cookies in glass jars, and they cut meat and they cut cheese and they did all kinds of stuff. They had work clothes. This was where you came for just about everything, with benches out front and people that would sit and visit all day.
Wow.
So we needed another hub for the community.
Yeah.
We had kind of lost that. All of the little country stores were gone. And so we thought
14 miles that way to the nearest gas station, and 22 miles that way to the nearest.
Wow.
So it's pretty wide open expanse of nothing. I mean, it's just a desert. So.
And nobody had internet, so we've put Starlink in here. People come up and stop and download their books and iPads to read, and they get what was it? Tim had somebody, and he said he had to figure out his flight plans before they left from Montgomery. So we're utilizing that.
Yeah.
If you've got Starlink, a good bathroom, and a Coca-Cola, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, what kind of stuff are y'all selling in here?
Well, what we will be selling. Let's do that.
Okay.
What we will be. We're waiting right now on the health department to pass.
Okay.
We're going to put a sandwich shop in out there.
Really?
Yeah, just a place to get. I mean, if you want to get something to eat, fine. If you don't, that's good with me. I can get one.
There you go.
Have a sandwich shop. Louise, we've got some antique furniture that's going to be in there, some collectibles, just different types of things. We've got, Louise used to make, back in the old days before children, used to make stained glass.
Wow.
And
we've got a friend that does some wonderful stained glass.
We've got stained glass in there.
Friends that are doing things like the honey and the handmade candles and anything that
the guy in Revival Coffee, we've got some of his coffee. Yeah, so we're trying just to be an outlet for local product type things too.
Neat.
We've got an open space in there where I got, we have all of my band equipment. So so we can have, you know, get-togethers with friends and just sit down and play.
What kind of band?
Music.
What kind of music?
Contemporary Christian is what we
Wow.
play. We used to, this friend of ours we started playing guitars together in the 8th grade. We're still playing together. But
cool.
back then it was rock and roll, the Beatles and Rolling Stones and all
go.
that stuff. But
Speaking my language.
he transitioned to country. And
Love it too.
then, you know, I transitioned to a contemporary Christian, and I convinced him that there's some country in contemporary Christian too.
Yeah.
So we play, we get together. We've
That's
got
neat.
a small group from church that meets out here about once a month, and
Cool.
we have some of us that play in church some, and we'll play some music, and before we have our study.
You're saying you're gonna sell. So are y'all officially opened yet?
No.
And you're not.
No.
Do you have an idea when?
Yeah, as soon as we get the health department
I
in
see.
here to get it. And the deal, I understand. I'm not going to go there. That's why he's unavailable right now. This is the last 2 weeks of deer season. So
I understand that all too well. Yeah.
Yeah, if you live around here, you understand.
Oh yeah. Well, I like to hunt too.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah.
But anyway, we're also going to do some wood products. For, you know, build some old
Right.
furniture and stuff. That's for me to do. But nothing complicated. I'm not a craftsman.
And you said you're gonna have a wood shop over here next door, right?
That will be.
That'll be so cool.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. So now let's talk about the mural on the side of the building. It's a beautiful mural. How did y'all come about getting that mural up?
Well, it took me about 6 months to convince her that we needed to do it. She's tight on our money, except when it's something she wants. Okay, and so anyway, we were talking about. I kept saying I want a mural on the side. Oh, that's too expensive. So anyway, I finally, after she found out she couldn't find a Pleasant Hill sign anywhere saying this was Pleasant Hill, she says, well, maybe that's an idea. So we went to talk to Vaughn Sims, who is, he's painted most of these really nice murals that are here in Selma. And we've known he and his father and with his mother too, for a long time. And he was painting the one that's on the side of Cougar Oil right now.
Yeah.
He was painting that one. And I said, you know, I wanted to talk to you about doing a mural out on the side of our building. And he looked at me and says, why do you want me to put a mural on your building? And I wasn't sure exactly how to take what he said. And then he said, you've got as good an artist as anybody anywhere around here that's your niece. Oh. And so we said, okay. So that's been about 8 months ago. We started talking about it, and she finally called one day and says, it's time to do it. She says, I'll come down January between here and here. So I bought her a plane ticket to come down, and she designed it, and then we started painting it.
5 or 6 years ago, she did something called We Are Selma, an art project with a very old camera, over 100 year. Yeah, black and white camera, and she came and did some absolutely lovely. The portraits were all on glass sheets, and she did interviews and recordings of these people. And some of the people that she got in her recordings were fabulous. She interviewed F.D. Reese, and of course he's gone now.
Yeah. Probably the last one he did.
But the wonderful part of it, and I've got to get copies of that. Her husband is also a photographer. They live in California, and they're really good in all the art circles and stuff. She drew off. We talked about what we wanted and what needed to be in it that would reflect Pleasant Hill, because we saw this as a gathering place and a way to pull the community together. And so she started writing. She did a paper drawing right there that says Pleasant Hill, and she included things that meant something to our family. And then she added color to it. And when we got here, we thought, oh, this is going to be easy. We're going to throw it up on the wall with a projector. No, that did not work. It was just too much light. So she sat here with her pencil and a yardstick, and she drew off the squares. You can see right there. I can see her drawing the squares. And then we got up here with the carbon and a wallpaper. And
No, what you got was a chalk line. Commercial chalk line.
Right, using carbon.
They put the same grids on there, and then what she would do is take one grid at a time and paint that grid, because it was easier than trying to paint the whole picture. You could keep your dimensions right.
Well, she drew it off, and then because she only had 4 or 5 days here in Pleasant Hill, we knew she could not paint everything herself, even though that would have been much better. So we had fat brushes and slender brushes. I'm a fat brush painter, okay? You know, I could do this amount. Catherine would draw off this and say, paint.
Her name is Catherine. Catherine Winter. She's Catherine Mayo is what she goes by professionally, which was her maiden name. But her married name is Winter, W-I-N-T-E-R, or is it Y-N? W-I-N.
W-I-N-T-E-R.
But the really cool thing about it was not so much the painting, but how everybody came together and do it. Her brother, his 3 oldest children, had not been together in probably close to 15 years, I think they said, all of them together. So all 3 of them came to help paint.
One from New Orleans, one from Clanton, and Catherine from California. And then their mother, my brother's first wife, came and stayed and was a part of it. We all ate meals together, we played, my grandchildren came, everybody got in it. We had a grand time doing it.
I bet.
And there was a constant theater of people watching from the community. I mean, there'd just be chairs. I mean, nobody wanted to get up to do it. You know, my job, I am not artistic when it comes to painting. So I was the lift driver. We constructed a platform and put it on the front end of my tractor and pick it up so they could get up high and stand and do it. And my job was to run the tractor and to comment on what they were doing.
This is not like opening a jar of blue or opening a jar of green. She mixed all of those things because you were using a special kind of paint. So she had to mix every little cup that we did it.
It just mixed the color up.
I don't have that kind of eye. I'm an old retired school teacher, and I could do bulletin boards all day, every day, but I did not know how to match that kind of paint all that way. Because see, to make it stay, Vaughn was able to tell us exactly what we needed to do. We had to treat the wall first with some stuff, and then we had to paint it with a gesso paint to be able to accept the stuff. And it's on a brick wall with little bitty
special primer
grooves in it. So it was a booger to actually make it get the right paint on the right line. I did not have enough admiration for these mural painters.
It's amazing.
And then of course she took it over and said here, and then added the details and stuff. Because we've got cotton bowls. We are in the middle of
Let me
cotton
give you
country.
some of the significance of the picture of what's on here. This has been a cotton community for years and years. It's also cattle, but we couldn't convince her to put a cow in here right now. But also the pine trees are significant, is that's the big commodity crop in this area now is pine trees. And her father, until the day he got to where he could not walk anymore, was planting pine trees, many of them by hand. On the other side, underneath the cotton bowls, there's a John Deere tractor. And the John Deere tractor is significant for several reasons. One is that is the predominant tractor in this part of the country, but the second thing is that her father was the first one to branch out and buy one of the big heavy-duty types of tractors.
Really?
Yeah, so that signifies that. Now, my favorite part of it is right here at the bottom.
Oh, forgot.
That is Bill the alligator. Right? Bill the alligator belongs actually to a family that lives just down the road from here. Bill was brought home from a fishing trip, I think I heard. Somebody said hunting, but that was corrected by the guy that owns it. It was a fishing trip by his father-in-law. No, his grandfather. And they were in a shell box about 6 inches long, and he brought them home.
Little bitty guy.
Baby
And
alligators.
this was back in the late 40s, and
I'll
it
be
is still
darned.
alive.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It is thought that he is the oldest alligator in captivity in the United States.
I'll be darned.
Mm-hmm.
They think that he is the third oldest in the world.
I'll be darned.
So, and the story goes that if somebody from Fish and Game, they were turned into them, and they came out and says, look, you've got a wild animal, you can't have it, it's against the law. We're going to have to take it. He says, well, I understand that. He said, but before you take it, I've got to know where you're going with it. He said, well, the guy says, well, it's somebody that takes care of alligators. Well, what's the oldest alligator they've ever raised? Oh, I don't know. They probably have some 40 or 50-year-old. He says, well, this alligator is 70 years old. We have it documented. He pulled out all these papers, and it's documented how old it was. And the guy looked at him and says, well, you're doing a pretty good job. Thank you. And he left.
I'll be darned.
So,
And if you think he's not thriving, this was Bill last Saturday morning.
Oh my gosh.
It's not a pet toy. That's a real alligator that lives right up the road from here. So Bill had to go into
he eats about 5 pounds of frozen chicken every other day.
Isn't that unreal? That was last weekend.
I'll be darned.
So we had to put Bill on there because
Right.
he's one of the more. There was the governor of Florida that was from Pleasant Hill, and there's a couple of generals that are from
right.
Pleasant Hill, but he's the most famous character of all of them.
Yeah.
Hey,
So we've had a good time with talking about what we would put on it, and then discussing and laughing about it and sharing with children old stories and stuff. That's what the whole thing's about. It's to bring us all together as a family and as a community.
and obviously that will continue
Yes.
because you'll have it to talk about when people ask about
Right.
it.
Well, it's been funny. The little bitty fella one of the little fellas came by and he said, I've been watching it every day on the school bus. What else is coming tomorrow? Because we had tried to keep it up. And I said, you're going to be the first one to know there's going to be an alligator. He said, a real alligator? What do you got? Just as cute as could be.
How precious.
So we've had to tell the stories. And Joey said, I told all the kids about the alligator. So we're
Neat.
just learning and sharing
Yeah.
history.
So basically opening up the store is contingent on the health department guy.
Well, just so we can do everything at one time,
Right. Yeah.
Instead of just piecemealing it, have somebody walk in that wants a sandwich, but yet we can't sell that, but if you want to, you can look over here, they're pretty furniture.
Right, right. Yeah.
So just wanted to have the whole thing at one time, and we'll probably invite some friends over, cook some barbecue or something like that.
Yeah.
So, as quote a grand opening, but another big thing that we do here is during football season. I've got an 85-inch screen TV.
Oh,
in there,
wow.
and we come and watch football games on it, and we'll
Wow,
have
that'd be cool.
people from the community come in and watch it with us.
And we
Something
added
to
the
eat.
front porch. This has been wonderful.
I
We
love
love to sit, we're porch people.
Me too.
And people love to come and sit. So you don't really have to have anything to do. You just sit and visit. And that's kind of real important these days.
Don't have enough of that.
No,
Right. Well,
we got too much of this.
Amen.
the other thing that we're doing in here, I've got a little area. I'm an old school teacher.
Yeah.
And
Where'd you teach?
I had the best job in the world. I taught the gifted and talented elementary students. Taught years at Cedar Park and then at Meadowview Elementary.
I'll be darned. Neat.
Loved them.
Yeah.
But I've got an area where we're gathering photographs and memorabilia from this area. And so what we're trying to do is just bring back the stories.
The history.
I don't
History
want
and the
fine,
stories.
wonderful artifacts. I want to copy people's pictures.
Yeah.
So we've got old annuals and books and things that I'm going to enjoy gathering and sharing with the community people.
Well, so we're going to check back with you in about, 2 weeks, I guess, once deer
Sounds
season's
Sounds
over.
good.
Hopefully.
And
Sounds good.
let everybody know that you're open. I appreciate y'all spending some time with me
Listen,
today.
this is
Oh,
what
thank
we
you.
want to do, is to sit here and talk to people. That's
I
all I
could see
want to do.
that is fantastic. Because again, there's not enough of that left in this world.
Right. Well,
We're
and
gonna
then
start brewing, have a coffee pot going, and we got
There you
cokes
go.
in there, and we got. I really want to make a real good lemonade for this summer
he
too.
keeps
That sounds
talking
like a
about
plan.
that. He keeps talking about that. But and
I went to
see,
school in Auburn, and Toomer's. I don't know if you know, Toomer's Corner is famous for their lemonade,
Right.
and so
I have heard that.
and so I'm just dying to get a good lemonade going here.
I'm Todd Prater with the Black Belt News Network. Check us out at blackbeltnewsnetwork.com on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.